Today, we're going to talk about making the time for the marketing side of our business.
Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Up in My Business. I'm Lex. I am excited to chat with you today. I'm recording this episode a little bit earlier than I typically do, so just a little bit more energized, I guess, than after, doing it on a Sunday afternoon and what have you. So we're going to do personal updates, business updates, and then we're going to jump into the episode, which we're going to be talking about making the time for the marketing side of your business. And if you are already rolling your eyes because you think I'm going to say that we all have the same 24 hours, you're not. No, that's not what I'm going to be saying. So please stick with me. Welcome. I already said that, of course. Personal updates. I received a ticket slot for the Olympics, and I'm saying it with a little bit of an annoyed tone, just because the way that they do it is kind of, and I understand the reasoning, but I'm like, there's one sport, one event we kind of care about. Maybe we'll do a different semifinal instead of the final, but we would love to go to the women's volleyball finals. Like, that's it. So went to look for tickets, and the only tickets that are available for the women's final are $1,000 a piece. And I'll be honest with you, if you don't know how volleyball works, one match is, 3 sets, potentially, sometimes 2. And the final tickets has 2 matches as a part of it. So let's just say we spend $1,000 per person. So $2,000. That's ridiculous. $2,000 for good seats. So these are like good seats for not as great seats. It's between 200 and 600. But if we were to spend that, just to give you an idea, that's $2,500 after like all of the taxes and BS. So $2,500, we spend $500 per person. So $1,000 to go to Switzerland or any volleyball tournament, because any volleyball tournament here in California is free. But when we go to Switzerland, we spend $500 for the ticket, and we watch, if I had to count how many matches per day, we watch probably 8 matches. So, and then we're there for 5 days. So 8 times 5 is 40. And I do think that's on the low end. So we spend $500 to watch 40 matches. So like, it's annoying. And I told Shantae, I was like, I am willing to pay, the $400 price because it's a once in a lifetime thing. I highly doubt I'll be going to other Olympics, but to watch 2 matches for $1,000 a piece for a ticket is actually insane to me. And I don't really have the money to just say F it and do it anyway. And it just seems like financially stupid, honestly. But everyone can do everyone. And if you get a ticket slot and you want to pay that price, good for you. The tickets are crazy. And gymnastics finals, I guess, are $2,000. I didn't even look at gymnastics because when I was buying yesterday, gymnastics wasn't even an option. So this morning when I woke up, I went to go look at the women's final to see if they had a different option available and like released, and they hadn't, but it was listed. And then this afternoon when I went on, they don't even have the women's final listed. So the way that they do it is kind of annoying because you kind of have to keep checking, but my window ends on Saturday night tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. I'm just like kind of annoyed with it. It's just kind of frustrating. I just thought it would be more affordable. And I guess like I should have known it wouldn't have been affordable. And like, if you are, there's a lot, oh God, that was probably a bad noise. There are a lot of wealthy folks like who live here in LA, I suppose. I mean, there are wealthy folks everywhere, but I'm just like, why do we need to make them so expensive so that there's only a small subset of people who can enjoy the good seats, but I digress. I know this is like a problem to not discuss here. Other personal stuff, really nothing going on. I will say I've been a lot better with my brick. Just because I was getting frustrated with myself of not, following up and doing the things that I promised myself I would do and the things that make me feel good. So I'm really happy that I was a little bit better with that this week. And this is our second weekend of all volleyball. So tomorrow, Saturday, so you'll be listening to this after it already happened, but we'll be spending all day at the beach, which is great because we get to watch volleyball again, the same Olympians that we would be seeing, hopefully if they make the finals, at the Olympics. We get to see them tomorrow at the local beach. It's 2 miles away. So super grateful for that. Really excited. We love to watch volleyball. I've said to multiple people recently, I'm like, the way that we watch volleyball is the way that everyone else in this country watches either football or basketball. So if you are that person, just know that that's volleyball for us. That is our sport. We know all the people, we know the players, we enjoy watching. We, just really love it. So anyway, go volleyball. Business stuff, to be blatantly honest with you, I am just getting everything squared away for end of SEO school, beginning of new SEO school, launching Inner Circle to the previous SEO school members, the Google Ads course, my retainer clients. Really, I am really enjoying some of my new offers that I have. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying some of my new offers that I have. And I'm increasing the capacity for existing clients. And that's been really exciting, which means I say it time and time again, as far as like I am booking out, but to be blatantly honest with you, there is a thought in my mind where I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be doing live coaching calls at more than like once or twice a month on a day. Just because I am really content with how my business is laid out as far as what I offer for courses and what have you, and having less live call time available is really ideal for me. So realistically, I'm looking at some live coaching calls, mostly reserved for one of my clients who I meet with monthly, and then existing folks who have already met with me before and they need more help, which is exciting to me. I think that's like ultimately a really fun place to be in, because I get to work with all the folks who have already worked with me. And then new folks, if you haven't worked with me before, there's still opportunity to work with me. It's just less. So I remember, and this has been like a transition for so many years. I mean, in 2018, sometimes I feel like I need to tell the entire story at some point. In 2018, I just remember, in 2019, oh my goodness, I remember taking calls in Alaska at Alaska time. It would have been before work. And then also on Saturdays, I was working all weekend on Saturdays or in the morning on Saturdays, because I was behind. So my time zone was an hour behind California, and a decent amount of my clients were on the East Coast, and I was just taking calls all the time. So as the years have gone by, I've obviously like really figured out what works for me and my schedule. And, if you haven't figured it out, I am neurodivergent as can be. Like, I am very much so neurodivergent, and I have a lot of, let's just say I'm very concrete, and I have a lot of time, and schedule, rigidness, if you will. And once I learned that, I just can't unsee it. So with working all of that and like learning all that stuff, it's just been a really nice transition for me. And obviously I am so grateful to be able to work in a capacity that really does suit how I work best and like how I mentally function best, because it was really tough for me when I used to see a lot of patients in a day, just because I didn't have it did not play to my strong suit of having break time and being able to like switch tasks and give myself mental load breaks and like communicating all day with folks. That's really tough for me. So I'm really lucky to be able to, tailor my schedule, but it does come with a trade-off of I have to mentally know that I'm unable to help everyone who wants to work with me. And I've mentioned this multiple times on my podcast and newsletters. Like, that is a really tough thing for my body and my mind to feel. And I've mentioned it to other people that I am close with in the space. And it's one of those things that you just don't ever fully feel good about. But you also have to accept it, because if you say yes, you're saying no to yourself or no to something that you need. So anyway, the long and the short is it's a beautiful transition, and I'm really, 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 really grateful. But it is also equally tough. It's equally tough in other ways. And anyway, I'm just feeling super grateful. And also just recognize that it's going to be tough for folks to get started. And I recognize that if you need one-off help, my availability will just be less, not nil, but less. So booking out is definitely key, and like emergency quote unquote stuff, less available for that as well. But again, my nervous system doesn't function for that stuff anyway. So to be able to just work within what feels good for my nervous system is obviously really, really, I'm very grateful for that. So thank you so much for everyone who has always, one, understood, and two, I have clients who are the same as me, and like we do laugh about it together. And it's like, I will get whatever you need to get done just on my schedule. And it's funny because that's literally what one of my clients said to me. She's like, I will, because she is clearly very similar to me. And we were talking about like availability stuff and, just like having a conversation. And she was like, I will get whatever I need to get done for whoever. It's just going to be on my schedule, not theirs. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's exactly. Yes. Yes, I agree. Okay. So with that, the only thing that I need to say before we get started is that the SEO school waitlist closes this Friday. So what that means is if you don't join before next Friday, you cannot save money on the course. I close my waitlist down. The waitlist will not reopen or anything until after public enrollment is closed. So essentially, if you don't get on the waitlist until after this Friday or before this Friday, you won't be able to join until the waitlist opens up for the fall 2027 round. So if you want to get on the wait list, make sure you join it. The link is in the show notes. And also if you're on Instagram and follow me there, it is also in my bio. I'm excited about SEO school because as I redid the curriculum, and I will say that the folks who get the best results seem to be the folks who are showing up to the calls, because I know they're doing the work. But I also know that there are a few folks who are unable to come to the calls, and they're still getting a ton out of the course and doing the work. I will say that you have to do the work. And that's what brings me to the topic that I'm talking about today. And the topic that we're covering is making the time for the marketing side of your business. I'm going to give you one suggestion, just one simple suggestion, and you can choose to throw it in the trash or not. Because I am the person who I believe firmly that we need to have boundaries for work and life. And when we talk about work and life, that's a really tough blend, because I believe that who says, is it Winnie Lingovic? I can't remember who actually said it. This is my life's work. It's not work-life balance, because this is my life's work. So I don't believe that we can, as business owners, have true separation. Like, you're never going to be able to just not care. It's your business. It's your baby. Genuinely, I know that. And I feel that way as well. And it's more or less about, we have to figure out what works best for us and work times and how we work best, etc. So sometimes as a business owner myself, I look at my schedule, and I don't ever publicly talk about my schedule because I don't think it's necessary. However, I'm very blocked. My schedule is color coded. I have when I'm doing what, I have lunch breaks built in. Like, I am a very, very blocked schedule person with flexibility. So something that I want to make sure that everyone has, and, if I were the person telling you what to do, which I'm not, but if you want to listen to this, I truly believe that you need to be able to be flexible in that if you have a schedule and shit hits the fan, you can take something and move it so that you can address the shit. I will never forget that you have probably felt the same way multiple times. When I was a PT, there was a time where I was working multiple jobs. I had 3 jobs at the time, plus my online business. And I was just like, I was so sick. And I had to go to the doctor, and everything was so rigid in my schedule that I didn't have any flexibility. And when I say rigid, I just meant like I was booked and I didn't have the space to move things or the freedom, the capacity, whatever. I didn't have that. And that was really tough. And like being sick is such a ridiculous thing compared to like taking care of a kid who's sick or having to, bring a kid to a soccer game or needing to help your kid do homework. Like I recognize that being sick is such a silly thing when compared to the superhero things that all parents do. So when you have something come up, in my ideal world, you're able to have this flexibility in that you're able to move something should you need to, because you can then address that thing. So when it comes to having flexibility and setting up our schedule, you know that I've always talked about Laura Jean's enough factor and knowing what you need to make financially in order to have enough. And like, what does enough mean to you? Does enough mean that you have expensive handbags? Does it mean that you go on vacation 3 times a year? Does it mean that you get to go to your kids' soccer games on Wednesday afternoons at 2 p.m. every single week? Does it mean that you want to be home at dinner time? What does that actually mean to you, your rich life, as Ramit would call it? What do you need to make in order for your rich life to be true and bring it to fruition? Those are really important things to figure out, because once you know what your rich life looks like, you can work backwards to then figure out, okay, well, I need to make X amount of dollars. So that means that I need to have X amount of patient slots. And that means that I will make X amount of money because of that. Now, that is something that's very rudimentary. Obviously, it's not my specialty. I always point to other people to talk about this stuff, but we could also talk at lengths about what that actually means and looks like. What I want to talk about today is part of your marketing side of things, your business, is going to be admin work. And I know that all of us typically set aside time for documentation. We set aside time for emails. We set aside time to, review charts for other providers. You likely set aside time for other things within your practice schedule. Now, what I'm going to pitch to you and give to you as a solution, and this is going to look different for everyone, but let's just say, and we're going to keep it super simple so that the example is clear. Let's just say that you need to work Monday through Friday, but Monday through Thursday, you need to see 5 patients, and on Friday, you need to see 2 patients. Or maybe on Monday through Thursday, we're going to make it simple. Let's not go crazy. Let's just say you need to see 30 patients a week. Okay, so 30 patients a week. We're going to work Monday through Friday. That means that we're going to work, if we're doing 1-hour slots, we need to see, 6 people per day. Okay, so 6 times 5 is 30. We know that we need to see 6 people per day. So maybe we're going to work 8 to 2. I know that that's not how life works. I recognize that just because you're working and seeing 6 patients a day and you're making X amount of money and it's supposed to be that's what gets you your rich life. That means that you have time off from 2 on every day. I know that that's not the case. I know. What I would love for you to consider, and if I were to go back and manage the practice again, or be a solo provider in a practice, how I would think about this is I would add a marketing slot as a $0 slot. I know I'm not making money, but I know that it needs to exist. So how I would do that is I would be considering, and it may change over time, but I would consider each week whatever your week looks like, you need to have about a 2-hour slot minimum. I would say probably 2 to 3 hours where you're able to do whatever you need to do for your business to catch up, to get ahead, to do marketing, whatever it is. And I would say once you learn how to do something like SEO or your reviewing charts, whatever it is, once you learn how to do something, typically your 2-hour slot can be cut into 1.5 hours. But the thing is, and what I see people do all the time is they're like, I will get it done eventually. I'm going to tell you, you will not fit it into your schedule. I think that we all recognize that some of us really enjoy the tech side. I can think of a couple people that I meet with for coaching calls who are just like tech savvy. They love it. They will likely fit it in because they enjoy doing it. I will tell you that most providers I work with, some of them enjoy the stats side of SEO and they love seeing the results. They love seeing the results. But the thing is some people, a lot of people don't want to do this stuff, but they know they have to do it. To be honest with you, all of us feel that way. I'm assuming all of us feel that way about documentation. You know, you have to do it and you have to make the time for it. The difference is that if you don't make time for documentation, technically you don't get paid. I mean, you do, but it's really not smart to not do it, especially if you're working with insurance, which some people do. So we have to think about it like that. We have to actually make the time and understand that not making the time means that we're not going to make money down the road. Now, I'm not the person who's going to tell you do SEO work so that you make money. But what I will say is that if you decide to spend time on SEO now, you will bring in more patients. So even though that time slot is unpaid in our brains, it's an unpaid time slot in our brains, even though we do that, we're going to be bringing in more leads somewhere else because we did that down the road. Like down the road, you're going to be bringing in people because you did that. And I'll give you an example in a minute about this. And I have plenty of examples, but one that just happened yesterday. And I'm just like, yes, absolutely. That's why we do this. And I will say, I am a supporter of many different things, but some of the things that I would recommend you consider implementing, one would be having an existing slot that recurs either twice a month or once a month. You can do it weekly, but if it's more approachable to do a longer slot 2 times a month, or maybe at the end of the month, you have a really long slot, whatever works for you, you need to put something in your schedule. And then also stick to it. When you get to set the schedule, you also get to unset it. And that's a really big mind F for all of us because you have set the schedule. So you told yourself you're going to do this thing and then that thing comes around and you're like, oh man, I really don't feel like doing that today. But the thing is if you don't do it, you need to move that slot or you need to recognize that you're actually saying no to doing it. So because we know that that is human nature, we have to fight against it in some sort of way. So here are some things that I like to do when I know that I'm going to be needing to do more admin than I typically have to do. One thing that I have recognized about myself is that I am a space or desk or workspace excitement person. So if I know that I need to sit back down after I take a break or do whatever, and I have to do a bunch of work, I will make sure that my workspace is either good or I move it. So sometimes I will even take my laptop out and go downstairs to the couch just because I need a different workspace to reignite my brain. You might need to clean your desk first, or you might need to just essentially go to a space that is quiet, because I know that if you're at home or if you're in a clinic, it may not be easy for you to do this thing. You may need to go to a coffee shop. I personally will just lock myself in my office or on the couch and do it there. Another thing that I do is I treat myself. So I told one of my clients that, I was like, listen, I bribe myself with coffee. I bribe myself with energy drinks. I bribe myself with candy. I recognize food-wise, behavior-wise, that probably isn't the healthiest thing, but I know that if I'm going to sit down and do a bunch of admin work, I will actually bribe myself and say, okay, well, I'm going to have this really awesome coffee and I'm going to have this really awesome treat and I'm going to sit down and do this thing. I also have set a timer. So, is it Pomodoro? You can set a specific timer for how long you're going to work. And don't forget, when you set a timer like that, turn your phone on do not disturb. Regardless of how awesome and controlled and non-addicted you think you are to that cell phone, I can promise you there are things that you can't control because phones have been accessible to us since we were little kids, or yeah, I shouldn't say little kids, but young. It's been 15, 20 years that we've had access to these things and like easy access to it. So if you're going to sit down and set a timer to do straight through work, make sure all your stuff is on do not disturb. Put your phone somewhere else. Brick your phone. Do whatever you need to do to set the timer and allow the timer to be the only thing that you're paying attention to. And there's no chance, absolutely no chance that you would get distracted by something else. The other thing that I like to do is, or I should say the other thing that, yeah, we'll go with it. So the other thing that I like to do is I do like to reward myself in certain ways. So even if I'm like, okay, I know that I'm going to be sitting here doing some work. At the end of this work period, I'm going to just go sit on the couch and dissociate, or I'm going to go for a walk. And that sounds so silly because of course, like I'm going to treat myself to a walk if I want to walk, but it hits different after you finish a big work period. I loved the feeling in college. Well, I hated it, but I loved it. Whenever you had to write a long paper or a big paper, you would always be thinking, oh my God, I have this big ass paper to write. I don't want to write it. No interest. I really, really just wish I could not do this. You would write it, you'd finish it, and it would literally feel like someone took a weighted vest off of your shoulders. And genuinely, it was the best. Like genuinely was the best. So it's one of those things where I agree. I totally think that it's completely reasonable to feel like you don't want to do something. I get it. Most days I never want to lift. I totally understand not wanting to do something. So it's completely normal, completely typical. It's human nature to not want to do certain things. We just have to figure out a way that we can reward ourselves for doing it because it's going to be a good choice later on. Now, two other things. I want to say that another way that I've heard other people do it is they actually pay themselves for the time. That's like not achievable for some folks, meaning like you can't actively pay yourself for the time if you're like, it's just me and my business. Yes, I'm a W-2 employee, but people actually pay themselves for the time. So just like you'd pay an employee for documentation time, if you do that, hopefully, you would then pay yourself for this admin time. And it's a really good way to, keep you going, because if money motivates you or getting paid for that time motivates you, amazing. Now, the other thing that I do is I put blocks in my schedule. So to answer emails, I will always have a block in my schedule on Monday, Wednesday, and then Thursday from, typically it's 3 to 4 p.m. where I'm able to go to my inbox and that's all I'm doing. So I am just answering emails in that time. And I specifically have set it up that way. So that way I always have something on my schedule or a time on my schedule to answer emails. And also so that it's always a block. And that's what I'm requesting that you do if you're going to do this once a month, twice a month, whatever. Now, lastly, because I recognize, and people may have already stopped listening at this point, so hopefully that's not the case. But if you're still listening and you have kids and you have a family member that you need to take care of, or you have so much life stuff outside of what I have, like I have animals and I have a very independent and self-sufficient partner. The only person that I need to really worry about and keeping alive is, yes, myself, but also in Moose and Rupert, but like they need food every once in a while. It's not like I'm, doing anything crazy over here. So I recognize that some people may be thinking, well, I'm so glad that you're able to set up this perfect schedule for yourself, but like, I'm not the only person that I need to worry about. This is where, and this is why I say, like, we definitely don't have the same 24 hours. I have a lot of privilege in the fact that I don't have to take care of other humans. I know that. And, over the years, I have had very different levels of what do I actually need to worry about in my life. And I can tell you right now, my system, my body, my workload, everything is different when you're able to essentially worry about very specific things and not have the weight of the world on your shoulders like most moms do. So I hear you. I 110% hear you. And I'm not here to tell you, like, just suck it up and do it. What I would say is one of the most beneficial things that you may find to do is to put it inside the middle of your workday, because that way you're not having to fight yourself to get to work early, and you're not having to fight yourself to get to go home at the end of the day. So you have this period in the middle of your day where you can do some sort of admin marketing work. That may not be feasible for everyone, but I would say that though the space in the middle of the day from folks that I have talked to about this specifically, that is typically where they feel the most comfortable and the most able to set aside time without having other feelings come up, because they're just at work. This is a part of my workday. And that's why in my mind, the 2 times a month option, potentially 1 time a month option, might work better for you, because there's not an option inside of our body to feel like we want to go home early or we don't want to leave home in the morning. And I do think that is, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. You're at the end of the day, you just want to go home. You may have a bad day. You're tired. I get it. So I do think putting it in the middle of the day can make it feel a little less or a little more approachable and a little less icky, because it's just a part of your day and it's not tossed on or tacked on to the beginning or the end, forcing you to move earlier or stay later, because that can feel kind of bad. So I hear you, and I think it might be really nice to explore some opportunities to do that. I have a couple episodes on like time management, what have you, and how I organize my schedule, but something that you could try is just popping it into ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, and just discuss like, I need to see this many patients. These are how long my sessions are. I want to make sure I have an admin period in the middle of the day twice a month. Can you please build out an ideal schedule for me? Because I only want to work between 9 and 3 Monday through Thursday and 8 to 1 on Fridays. You can like put whatever details you need in there, put as many details as you need in there, and then you can build out a schedule with that admin time already fit in. And I genuinely think that is... the middle of the day situation does feel like the most approachable for folks who, are definitely, I am that way. I'm like, I want to be done. I want to go home. And this block I tossed on here and I did it to myself. It's the end of the day. It's something extra to do. You just feel there's a lot of feelings that come up around it. So I would agree with you that if you feel that way, it's okay. It's totally okay. I do believe that is human nature, and I'm not asking you to extend your day or start your day earlier. I'm asking you to fit it into your typical work schedule. And also, I need to make sure I say this again, also recognizing that I know that there's a financial enough. And in my mind, meet your financial enough and then add on this admin block to whatever schedule you need to have as 1 or 2 slots per month. If you can do weekly, amazing, but that might be asking a lot. And just know that even though, if you're choosing not to pay yourself, even though that time block gets $0 immediate ROI, that time block is going to bring you so much ROI down the road. And I'm going to close this out with a quick story. So someone that I'm working with, she took SEO school and then she was like, I just need some help. She waited to be added to my retainer service for like, I don't even know, probably a year. If I asked her, I think it was about a year. She was on my wait list. I started working with her in October, and she really wanted to start ranking for mastitis treatment. Clogged duct treatment. And we really worked hard. We built out the website accordingly. We had her write some content, some really specific content. And someone found her website from a town. If you're from LA or the LA area, you know that if someone's like where we live in Redondo Beach, if someone is like, I'm coming to Santa Monica, on a map, you think we're close. We're not actually close. So we're not actually close. It's like a 35-minute endeavor, maybe 40-minute endeavor. And that's like with light traffic. It's more like an hour when it's actual traffic. And in the morning, it can be 20 minutes. So just recognize like we're close, but not actually close in a lot of scenarios. That is like what this person found the clinic on Google for clogged duct treatment, and the town was not close to them. So it was, I actually don't know. I'm going to look it up right now while I'm talking, but this clinic was not located near this person. And they were like, I was going to travel down to Huntington Beach, which is so far for that person. I'm looking up right now. Here we go. It's 40 miles away. So this is 40 miles in LA traffic. So 40 miles away, this clinic was found on Google for clogged duct treatment. That's a 54-minute drive right now. And that's right now at 2:53. I guarantee you that's going to be an hour to an hour and a half drive, I can imagine, during rush hour. So let me just tell you, 54 miles away, this clinic was found because of SEO for this service. And this person was like, I was going to travel to Huntington Beach to get treatment. Huntington Beach from that person is also 44 miles away, but it's a 2-hour drive. So just recognize like, it's miles here are kind of crazy, and you can be 14 miles from somewhere. It's a 2-hour drive, but I digress. What I want to be very clear about is when I work on local SEO for someone and we have a specific city they're ranking in, so let's just choose Redondo Beach, I am trying to get them to rank on Google Maps and Google for local traffic and be in the top 5. That is only for up to like 6 or 7 miles away. This person was 54 miles away from this clinic, and they came up on Google because this clinic is offering a service that not many people offer. And the business owner I work with was like, this person was desperate. They were so desperate to find someone to work with. And when they Googled, we came up, and they called, and now they're booking an appointment, etc. So I think that at the end of the day, I know that what I teach is like, do the work, find the time. And some people might be like, Lex, shut up. We know we have to do the work. We know we have to find the time. And I know that too. I'm also talking to myself. You want to, you can literally turn this message and talk to myself as well. Like there are things that I also need to schedule in because I need to find the time because I just don't make the time. And if I don't make the time, I don't do it. So I am also one of you. It's just, I recognize that I will have different outside demands. I don't have kids. I don't have a dependent partner. I don't have to take care of a family member. Like I recognize that. So my suggestion is to go back, try some of the things that I suggested because either they've worked for someone else who I work with or have talked to about this stuff, or they've worked for me. Again, I never promise you that anything is going to absolutely work for you, but I want you to know that the effort that you put in and the time that you set aside for these marketing tasks, when you're able to do it and you're able to be consistent with it and you're able to really put some effort in, it pays off down the road, which can be really, really hard. And I think we all see it in a retirement account. We all see that the fact that we're putting this money in this space that we're not going to see for 40 years and 40 years, 50 years, God knows how long. And hopefully it grows. When it comes to SEO, it's the same thing. We're putting money in the bank, and over time, that's going to then benefit us. And eventually you're going to see it pay off for you. And it's really tough in the beginning because you're like, what the heck am I doing this for? I don't see the results. But when something like the clogged duct treatment search happens and your business is found from someone who was looking for you, like that is just incredible. And that is just, you get to help that person who was desperate and in need. And if that business owner hadn't been, I guess like we weren't working together on doing that, there's a chance that that other person who was so desperate for help might not have gotten the help that she needed. And to me, that is like why I wanted to be a PT or be in the health professionals realm to begin with, is I want to help the people. So, all right, I believe you've gotten the point. I'm going to go ahead and hop off the soapbox. This is a long one. I didn't expect it to be so long, but I guess this is what you get when you get me on a Friday afternoon and I just finished my iced espresso that Shantae makes me every day. So thanks for bearing with me. Please let me know if you have any questions. Again, SEO School waitlist will close this Friday. So if you're not this Friday, April 10th. So if you're not on the waitlist by Friday, April 10th, you will need to either enroll during the public launch or wait to join the waitlist for the fall 2027 round. And this is not a marketing tactic. Again, you can go back and listen to other episodes. I talked about this before. It's because I'm going to be launching it once a year and it makes more sense to launch it in the fall. So I just need to take a year break because that's just the way it is. So not a marketing tactic, but it will be closed until fall of 2027 with the existing support that is offered. So let me know if you have any questions, and thank you so much for listening to this really long episode. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. I will catch you next week.